Today she was finally meeting the structural engineer, recommended by her cousin Parker, a trustworthy control freak who'd built 3 hotels across Illinois. Parker had sung praises about this guy for days. Top of his class, clean work, no ego. Exactly what they needed. Jenna tapped a quick message to Jay. "Don't be late." No reply. Jenna approached the table Parker had reserved and halted, her breath caught. Sitting across from Parker, flipping through a leather-bound portfolio, was him. Navy shirt, tousled hair, strong jawline. The man from Friday night. Birthday boy. R. Now seated in daylight with reading glasses and a tailored suit jacket tossed over the seat. He looked more dangerously refined, like a living GQ spread with a built-in storm cloud. No. Freaking way. She instinctively stepped back. Too late. Parker spotted her and waved her over.
"Jenna, you're early. Great. Meet our engineer."
The man looked up. Their gazes collided.
Heart's Audio Library presents A One-Night Game to Forever Flame, a novel by Honey Hearts. But before I start the story, kindly hit the subscribe button and also hit like if you like the story. Thank you.
Part 1. The elevator shot Jenna Grayson and her entourage straight to the top-floor SkyDeck like a bullet of neon light. Bass thumped through her stilettos the instant the doors parted, and a river of clubgoers, all glitter and sweat, flowed around them toward the dance floor framed by glass walls and a midnight view of downtown Chicago.
"Remember, babe? Your turn to hunt."
Jay Marine, her wild-eyed best friend, sang into her ear over DJ Khaled's remix. Jay, in a sequined bomber and ripped jeans, flicked an imaginary whip.
"Snag your mark, seduce, vanish. No names, no strings, no mercy."
Patty and Casey, Jenna's cousins turned mischief co-conspirators, whooped in agreement. Patty spun the slim gold bottle of Prosecco their VIP wristbands had summoned and poured 4 shots into plastic flutes. They toasted, foam fizzing over manicured fingers, then downed the liquor in a single synchronized tilt of wrist and throat. Jenna licked a bright droplet from her lip, feeling the familiar coil of adrenaline tighten low in her belly. The game had started 13 weeks earlier, when Patty dumped her cheating ex in the most theatrical way possible. A bouquet of dead roses delivered during his corporate luncheon. And since then, the 4 of them rotated missions to avenge broken hearts by flipping the script. Luring a random guy, far enough to believe he'd hit the jackpot, then ghosting before anything real happened. House rules. Never reveal who you are. Never sleep with the target. Always stick together. Seemed harmless, even empowering. And Jenna, 27, gorgeous, a Harvard MBA who'd just quit a suffocating hedge fund job, played it best. Tonight, the club's LED ceiling rained magenta pulses over her silk mini-dress, a deep emerald that matched her eyes. Waves of cinnamon brown hair spilled in effortless layers past her shoulders as she waded into the gyrating crowd. Jay, Patty, and Casey fell back a few feet, leaving room for prey to circle. The beat flipped to a remix of Buttons, and on cue, a tall stranger slipped in beside her. Muscular frame, navy button-down rolled at the forearms, dark hair tousled as if he'd run a hand through it on the limo ride over. His cologne, cedar, citrus, rain, hooked Jenna's senses. He didn't leer or grind. He simply found the tempo and matched her, giving her time to notice him. Smart move. Stay in control, Jenna. She lifted her arms, letting her dress ride higher on toned thighs, hips rolling to the base. The stranger's gaze lingered but never dipped below her face. Confidence, not desperation. Interesting. She spun, brushed her back to his chest, and felt rather than saw his answering smile. Patty's voice hissed in her ear from behind.
Girl, he is fine. $10 says he's corporate money.
Casey.
Or undercover cop. Those shoulders could bench press an SUV.
Jenna fought a grin, turned to face him again. You dance pretty well for a suit, she teased, close enough that her breath kissed his cheek.
Yeah, I'd better. It's my birthday.
His tone was rich and warm, like bourbon in velvet.
Figured I deserved at least one decent song.
Happy birthday, then. She let a single fingertip trace the collar of his shirt. Any name to write on the cake? He hesitated, not quite cagey, just weighing how much to concede.
Call me R for now.
She arched a brow. Mysterious. I like that. When her friends drifted back, Jenna felt the momentum shift. Time to push. She slid both arms around R's neck, their bodies molding in the crowd's heat. His hands settled almost politely on her waist, thumbs brushing exposed skin. A spark shot up her spine, stronger than anything she'd felt in months, maybe years, startling her. Get it together, Grayson. You run the rules, not him. She leaned up, brushed her lips to the shell of his ear. We should get off this floor before somebody spills a drink on my dress. R's answering breath fanned hot across her throat.
I've got a quieter spot in mind. Private enough to hear ourselves think, if that's still desirable.
Jenna forced a playful laugh, but her pulse hammered. Perfect. Make him want the sweet. Ditch him before the door clicks shut. Patty flashed a subtle thumbs up from the bar. Jay already hustled toward the exit to tail them. R guided Jenna off the parquet and through a security door that led to a panoramic balcony reserved for penthouse guests. Wind whipped her hair, city lights blinking in a sea of steel and glass below. He halted at the rail, hands on the chrome edge, and for 1 second simply drank in the skyline like a man who loved it. Jenna had the strangest urge to ask what he saw there. What stories flickered behind his dark eyes? Instead, she pressed against him, kissing his cheek. Light, strategic. So, birthday boy, what's the wish? He tilted toward her, gaze dropping to her mouth. Up close, she spotted a faint freckle on the bridge of his nose, a tiny imperfection that made him human, tangible.
My wish?
His voice grew husky.
Why don't we start with your name?
Danger alarm. Rule number 2. No real names. Jenna smiled, evasive. I'm a genie. Names give me away. He brushed a strand of hair behind her ear, fingertips gliding down her neck until goosebumps surfaced.
Then I'll settle for a kiss. Genies grant wishes, right?
Abort or escalate? She'd kissed targets before. Cheeks, corners of lips, never full contact. But something heady in the night air pressed her forward. She angled in, grazing his lips. Just once. Soft. Electricity jolted. His hand tightened on her hip, restrained but intoxicating. That's when the voice inside her shattered. If you stay, you'll break the rule you wrote. She pulled back, breathless. Wait! Flash of panic flashed across his face. Where had she seen that open vulnerability before? The fleeting thought vanished. She forced a flirtatious smirk to hide her own spinning head. I left my friends inside. Girl code. No disappearing act without them. R nodded slowly, scanning her face. Reading the lie, maybe. Or simply respecting it.
Understood. Bring them. We'll celebrate properly.
Celebrate? Not part of the script. She stepped away, nails biting her palm. Rain check? And without another word, she slipped back through the security door, heels clacking too fast. She spotted Patty, Jay, and Casey near the coat check. Phones raised like reporters covering a scandal.
Mission complete?
Jay whispered. Jenna's throat constricted. She wasn't sure what she'd completed, only that the game suddenly felt juvenile. "We're done. Let's go." They tumbled into the service elevator, cackling about R's stunned expression as the door slid shut. Jenna tried to laugh, but the memory of his lips lingered on hers, hot as sweltering August pavement. She rubbed the sensation away, or tried to. Somewhere 30 floors above, a man in a navy shirt likely watched the elevator numbers drop, wondering what on earth had just happened. And for the first time since their little revenge sport began, Jenna felt the flutter of regret. Shake it off. Next round. New city. Yet deep inside, a thrill. Half dread, half anticipation. Coiled like smoke. She would see him again. Crowded city, yes, but fate loved to gamble as much as she did. And that, she feared, might be the one rule she couldn't rewrite. Part 2. 2 days later, Jenna strolled into Birch and Maple, an upscale cafe tucked between Michigan Avenue boutiques, dressed in a white blouse, navy pencil skirt, and crimson pumps. The sunlight slanted just right, glinting off her sunglasses as she slid them onto her head. She'd been up since 6, prepping for a meeting about her first solo venture. A boutique coffee bar she and Jay were co-founding after ditching the corporate rat race. Today she was finally meeting the structural engineer, recommended by her cousin Parker, a trustworthy control freak who'd built 3 hotels across Illinois. Parker had sung praises about this guy for days. Top of his class, clean work, no ego. Exactly what they needed. Jenna tapped a quick message to Jay. "Don't be late, or I'll serve you decaf forever." No reply. She shrugged. Knowing Jay, he was probably fixing his eyeliner or bribing an Uber driver with compliments. Jenna approached the table Parker had reserved and halted, her breath caught. Sitting across from Parker, flipping through a leather-bound portfolio, was him. Navy shirt, tousled hair, strong jawline. The man from Friday night. Birthday boy. R. Now seated in daylight with reading glasses and a tailored suit jacket tossed over the seat. He looked more dangerously refined, like a living GQ spread with a built-in storm cloud. No. Freaking way. She instinctively stepped back. Too late. Parker spotted her and waved her over.
"Jenna, you're early. Great. Meet our engineer."
The man looked up. Their gazes collided. His features didn't flicker. Cool. Composed. Controlled. But she saw it. Recognition flared, unmistakable and sharp.
"This is Roman Devereux."
Parker finished.
"Roman, this is Jenna Grayson, the client I told you about."
Roman stood and extended a hand with a professionally polite smile.
Miss Grayson.
Jenna hesitated a split second before accepting his hand. The same pulse of electricity zipped through her palm. He held it a moment longer than necessary. His grip wasn't tight, but it made her chest tighten all the same. She forced a smile. "Pleasure to meet you. Finally." Roman's lips twitched.
I was just telling Parker about soil pressure and foundation depth. Riveting stuff.
"Thrilling," she replied, deadpan. Parker glanced between them, clearly oblivious.
"Jay's meeting us too, right?"
"Yes, he's probably bribing someone." Jenna sat stiffly, praying Roman would keep his mouth shut about the other night. If Parker ever found out she'd flirted and ditched his star engineer mid-make-out, he'd never let her live it down. But Roman merely sipped his espresso and opened a blueprint, as if they were strangers. Professionals. She exhaled. But then, as Parker flipped through plans and listed permits, Roman leaned slightly closer and murmured under his breath,
Didn't beg you for a hit-and-run kind of woman.
Jenna nearly dropped her coffee. She turned her face toward him, expression still polite for Parker's benefit. Didn't think I'd see you again.
That makes two of us.
You didn't say your name that night.
You didn't ask.
She narrowed her eyes. So what's the plan? Torment me every time we talk shop? He smiled faintly.
No, I'm here to build you a beautiful coffee bar, Miss Grayson. Every beam, perfectly erect.
Jenna choked on her sip. Parker raised a brow.
You okay?
Fine, she coughed. Just the coffee went down the wrong pipe. Roman offered her a napkin, all too amused. Oh, this man isn't done with me. Jay finally arrived, out of breath, windblown, and somehow glittery.
Sorry, don't ask. I almost got hit by a jogger, and then...
He stopped mid-rant as he saw Roman, then gasped.
Oh my gosh, he's the guy.
Roman looked amused.
The guy?
The guy Jenna kissed and ditched on the SkyDeck.
Parker froze.
Excuse me?
Jenna buried her face in her hands. Roman raised his cup in mock salute.
Nice to see you again, too.
Jay turned to Jenna.
You said he'd never find us.
I was wrong, okay? Parker, utterly dumbfounded, blinked between them all.
Wait, you two...
Jenna groaned. Can we please talk about zoning permits instead? But Roman? Roman just leaned back, fingers steepled like a man watching a chess game unfold exactly the way he planned. And Jenna suddenly realized she hadn't escaped the game. She'd just walked into his. Part 3. 3 weeks passed. The construction site buzzed with jackhammers, clanking scaffolds, and a rotating playlist of classic rock from the foreman's portable speaker. A concrete skeleton of what would soon be Bean and Ember. Jenna and Jay's dream cafe was beginning to take shape on the corner lot in River North. Jenna was on site every morning, clipboard in hand, hair in a claw clip, and sunglasses perpetually perched on her head. What no one else saw, however, was the reason she often walked away mid-checklist. Roman Devereux. He was maddeningly composed and irritatingly attractive in his black hard hat, designer aviators, and rolled-up sleeves that revealed forearms sculpted by something far more primal than gym routines. He read blueprints like gospel and commanded the crew with quiet confidence, and every now and then he'd smirk in her direction like he knew her skin still tingled from that single kiss on the SkyDeck, which, unfortunately, it did.
Morning, boss lady.
Roman greeted one Tuesday, stepping into her shadow while she inspected the reinforced beams. She didn't look up. Shouldn't you be lecturing someone about cement ratios?
Already did. They're scared of me now. Mission accomplished.
I'd say I'm surprised, but I'm not. He stepped closer, voice low.
You know what does surprise me?
She finally glanced up. Let me guess. That I haven't begged you for another birthday kiss? Roman's eyes gleamed.
That too. But mostly that you haven't admitted you liked it.
I never said I didn't. He blinked. She shrugged. Doesn't mean I'll fall for your smug charm again.
Who said anything about falling?
His voice dropped husky.
This isn't about love, Jenna.
Her throat tightened. Then what is it? He smiled, slow, wicked.
It's about who breaks first.
She opened her mouth to reply, then spotted Jay approaching, waving 2 matcha lattes like victory flags.
Coffee, bitch!
Jay declared.
You looked like you were about to verbally slap someone, so I figured this might save a life.
Roman chuckled.
Haha, perfect timing.
Jay eyed the tension between them.
Okay, did I interrupt a lover's quarrel or a corporate negotiation with sexual undertones?
Yes! Roman and Jenna replied simultaneously. Jay groaned.
I swear, if you two don't rip each other's clothes off or call a truce soon, I'm locking you both in a supply closet.
Jenna sipped her matcha and walked away without answering. But Roman watched her the entire time. Like he was calculating her every move, memorizing every twitch in her jaw. That weekend, Jenna tried to reset. No site visits, no text messages, just sweatpants, takeout, and a movie marathon. It was almost successful. Until her phone buzzed at 10:46 p.m. Unknown number said.
Nice try disappearing, but you forgot something at the site today.
Attached was a photo. Her black silk scarf, looped around Roman's fingers, dangling like a dare. She stared at the screen, heart hammering. Jenna replied, "You could have just left it in the supply bin." Roman.
I could have, but where's the fun in that?
A pause, then another message. Roman.
Meet me tomorrow, after the crew leaves.
Jenna. Why? Roman.
To return your scarf, or to kiss you again. You decide.
Jenna tossed her phone on the couch, face flushed. She should delete his number. She should ignore him. She should... Her thumb hovered over her screen, then typed, 6 p.m. Don't be late. Part 4. The construction site was quiet by 6 o'clock, an eerie calm after the day's mechanical racket. The scaffolds cast long, skeletal shadows in the amber light, and the scent of fresh lumber lingered thick in the air. Jenna parked at the far end of the gravel lot, heart beating far too fast for someone picking up a scarf. She found Roman leaning against the frame of the half-finished doorway, hard hat off, sleeves rolled up, hair tousled by the wind. The scarf, her scarf, was looped lazily around his wrist.
You're late,
he said, voice low and teasing. You're smug, she countered, but the sass was flimsy. Her throat felt dry.
I've been called worse.
She stepped closer, heels crunching on gravel, every nerve ending in her body on high alert. So where's my scarf? Roman didn't answer. Instead, he reached for her hand gently, then tugged it toward him. Not hard, not forceful, but firm, like he already knew she wouldn't pull away. Jenna didn't. Why are you doing this? She asked, voice barely above a whisper. He leaned down, their lips a breath apart.
Because you started something, Jenna. And I don't believe in leaving things unfinished.
I never finish what's not worth it. He smiled, slow and full of heat.
Then why are you here?
She didn't have an answer. Her lungs forgot their job. And when he finally kissed her again, really kissed her, she melted. It started soft, curious, but quickly unraveled into something ravenous. His hands cupped her jaws, her arms wound around his neck. She gasped as he spun them both behind a plywood divider, shadows flickering between bare studs and exposed insulation. The sight was raw, unfinished, just like the tension between them. Roman pushed her gently against the wood, lips trailing along her throat. You smell like sawdust and sin, she murmured.
You taste like hellfire and champagne.
He shot back. Jenna moaned softly as his hands slid beneath her blazer, splaying wide on her back. He kissed her deeper, hungry, deliberate, until she was breathless. One of his hands tangled in her hair while the other moved to her waist, tugging her flush against him. She could feel everything, every inch of his control, every restrained growl, every bit of the storm he carried in that beautiful, infuriating body. You're dangerous, she whispered against his lips.
So are you.
he whispered back.
But I like the risk.
Her blouse came unbuttoned before she noticed. He kissed the hollow of her throat, down to the top of her bra. And when his hands curved around her thighs and lifted her easily onto a beam, she didn't protest. She just wrapped her legs around him, surrendering to gravity. Or maybe to fate. For a heartbeat, their foreheads touched, breath mingling, eyes locked. Something passed between them then. Hotter than lust, heavier than flirtation. It scared her. She kissed him again instead. Hard. They never went further. Not that night. Roman eventually pulled away, his breath ragged, fingers still gripping her thighs.
If we don't stop now,
He growled.
I'm not sure I'll want to.
Jenna smirked, eyes wild. Since when do you stop? He leaned his forehead against hers again.
Since I started giving a damn.
She blinked. That wasn't in the rule book. He set her down gently, smoothed her hair, fixed her collar. Then, without another word, draped her scarf around her shoulders and walked back into the shadows of the unfinished hallway. Jenna stood there trembling, shaken, burning. And for the first time she wondered if she was the one falling into a trap. Or worse, if it was never a game to begin with. Part 5. It had been 3 days since the kiss in the skeleton of the café, and Jenna hadn't been able to think clearly since. She kept telling herself it was just the heat of the moment, an impulsive detour, nothing more. But then Roman started showing up on site early, earlier than necessary, sometimes holding 2 coffees, one just the way she liked it. He texted her once.
Cruise ahead of schedule. We might finish in 4 weeks. Don't say I never did anything for you.
And then later that night.
I'm still thinking about the beam.
So was she. And today when she arrived, the air felt thick, electric, charged. Jay met her halfway across the gravel.
Okay, I'm not saying I'm psychic, but I'm definitely sensing we're about to enter forbidden workplace hookup territory.
Jenna rolled her eyes. I'm a professional. Jay leaned in.
Girl, last time I saw you kiss a man like that, I almost had to pour water on you just to cool you down.
Roman appeared just then, clipboard in hand. And, damn him, wearing that same black button-down shirt with the sleeves rolled and a new hard hat that somehow made him look more dangerous. He winked.
Hey, Grayson.
Devereux, she replied coolly. But her fingers curled inward like they remembered exactly how it felt to hold on to him. The day passed in a blur of meetings and material deliveries. By 4, the sun had dipped low and the workers were packing up. Jenna stood inside what would be the storage room, checking inventory lists. She didn't hear him come in. Roman's voice curled into her spine.
You planning to ignore me forever?
She stiffened. I'm working. He stepped closer.
You weren't working when you moaned my name against a wooden beam.
Her breath hitched. Roman!
Say it again.
Her lips parted, but no sound came out. He brushed past her, slow and deliberate, as if daring her to stop him. When she didn't, he stepped behind her, his body flush against hers.
You've been avoiding me, Jenna. But your body hasn't forgotten a damn thing.
I shouldn't be doing this with you.
Why not?
Because we're working together. Because you're... She swallowed. Dangerous. His hands slid to her hips.
And you like dangerous.
Jenna closed her eyes. He turned her around, pinned her lightly to the wall with nothing but his gaze.
Tell me to stop. Right now. Say the words.
She didn't. Roman growled softly, and then his mouth was on hers again. Hotter, hungrier, more possessive than before. His hands roamed down her waist, along the hem of her blouse, slipping underneath. She shuddered at his touch, fingers threading through his hair as she pulled him closer, deeper, until they were a tangled mess of heat and want. Buttons popped, moans echoed. Her back arched as his mouth found her collarbone. His voice was ragged, right against her skin.
You drive me insane.
You started it, she gasped.
And I'll finish it.
His hand slid beneath her skirt, anchoring her to him, and her head fell back with a cry she didn't have time to catch. He held her like she was breakable, kissed her like he wanted to ruin her for every man after him. And God, it was working. They didn't go all the way that night, but they did enough. Enough to know that whatever this was between them, it was no longer a game. It was something burning, something beautiful, something dangerous. The next day, Roman stood across from her in the cafe's dusty shell, a new set of blueprints in hand. He smiled like he hadn't kissed her against a wall less than 24 hours earlier. But as he passed her the prints, he whispered in her ear.
Finish the project with me, Jenna. Then let me finish what we started.
Part 6. The cafe was nearly finished. Polished tile gleamed under Jenna's heels as she paced across the spotless counter floor. The windows were finally in, the signage mounted, and the espresso machine. Her dream, La Marzocco, waited patiently under its protective wrap like a king before coronation. They were ahead of schedule, just like Roman promised. And yet, he hadn't kissed her in 7 days. Not since that wall. Not since that hot, dizzying half-hour of groping, grabbing, whispering, and then him whispering, wait. Roman had pulled back first.
Let's finish this. Then we finish us.
It had driven her half-mad.
Grand openings next Friday.
Jay chirped, bouncing on the balls of his feet beside the front window.
You realize you built an empire in 6 weeks, right?
Jenna managed a smile. 6 weeks, 10 migraines, 3 breakdowns, and 1 very complicated engineer. Jay snorted.
Speaking of, where's Lutterboy today?
Final inspection. Alone.
Mm-hmm.
He sipped his iced lavender latte.
So, how do you want to play it?
What do you mean? Jay grinned.
When the project ends, are you going to let him walk, or are you finally going to admit you're in over your head?
I'm not in... Jenna started, but the lie crumbled fast. Okay, maybe ankle deep, waist high. Shut up.
I won't judge. Just tell me if I should light candles or hide condoms. Ha 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 ha.
Duh. You're disgusting.
You're welcome.
Later that afternoon, she found Roman standing on the outdoor patio, reading over inspection documents with the foreman. He looked tired, slightly dusted in plaster, still utterly, painfully perfect. When the foreman left, Jenna lingered in the doorway, clutching her keys and the final checklist. Roman saw her. His smile was faint, guarded.
It's done.
She nodded. Yeah, I saw it.
Past inspection. You're good to open.
A silence fell between them, sharp as glass. So that's it? She said finally. Project's done. We walk away? Roman turned slowly.
You think that's what I want?
I don't know what you want. He closed the distance in 3 strides.
Yes, you do.
Jenna swallowed hard. Roman reached into his coat pocket and pulled out a tiny folded napkin. She blinked.
You left this?
He said.
From the first day I met you as your engineer. I don't know why I kept it, but I did.
She opened it. Her own handwriting stared back at her, from a list she'd scrawled on the cafe table that day. Espresso bar. exposed beams. No regrets. Jenna laughed softly. God, that was such a stupid list,
No,
he said, voice low.
that last part wasn't stupid.
She met his eyes, and finally, dropped the walls. I want you, Roman.
Then say it like you mean it.
She reached for him, tugged him by the collar until their mouths crashed, fierce and full of weeks' worth of restraint. He lifted her easily, settling her onto the patio bench, hands roaming like he couldn't decide what to touch first. Her lips trailed down his throat. No more waiting.
Not a chance.
The kiss turned reckless. Her blouse slid off a shoulder. His belt came undone. The patio light flicked on above them as the sky turned to dusk. But neither noticed. His name spilled from her lips in half-sobs. Her thighs locked around him, anchoring him as if afraid he might disappear again. But he didn't. This time, he stayed. When it was over, they collapsed together on the bench, breathless and undone. Jenna buried her face in his chest and whispered, "So what now?" Roman smirked, fingers drawing lazy circles on her back.
Now, we open the cafe,
He tilted her chin up, kissed her once more.
and we stop pretending this was just a game.
Epilogue. 1 month later, Bean and Ember was open, buzzing, successful. And Jenna Grayson, founder, visionary, and a chaos coordinator, stood behind the counter pouring shots of espresso with expert precision, until a pair of familiar arms snaked around her waist from behind. Roman, wearing a gray Henley, smiling like he already owned her. "You're early," she said. He kissed her temple.
Couldn't wait.
She elbowed him playfully. "Customers will see." He shrugged.
Let them. I built this place. Might as well enjoy the view.
She turned to face him. "You like the view?"
I'm obsessed with it.
They kissed, slow, sure. And this time, no rules left. No more pretending. Just Jenna and Roman. Not a game. Not a trap. Just them. And as the espresso machine hissed behind them, Roman whispered,
Worth every second.
"The end."
Thanks for listening. And again, please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and hit like if you liked the story. See you in my next audio story. More power.